Good morning, vlog passengers. It's Monday, and it's time to finally review Mockingjay. Now, I have read the brief Twitter-long takes of many people on this particular book. Most people liked it, some people still don't know how they feel about it, and some people didn't like it that much. But here's what I think. I liked it. I'll tell you why. And yes, this review will most likely contain spoilers. I'm going to try my best to keep them out, but I make no promises. Now really, the whole trilogy is brilliant. It's brilliantly written, it's brilliantly conceived, it's just brilliant. Both of the first two novels in the trilogy end in cliffhangers, basically, and so we were all excitedly awaiting the release of this novel. At the beginning of Mockingjay, Katniss Everdeen's home has been destroyed. She is now a rebel, she's an enemy of the state, and she has to make a decision of whether or not she is going to be the Mockingjay, the symbol of the rebellion, which carries on with the whole theme of the trilogy, with this whole dystopian society being based on propaganda. And what follows is a war of propaganda. Sometimes even more important than the actual fighting is the ability of the rebels to hack into the Capitol television channel and put their own ads stating their side of the fight. Katniss basically has to decide whether or not she's willing to basically be a pawn to the plans of the rebellion. Much like in the previous story, Catching Fire, she was basically a pawn to the Capitol. Everything is morally gray in this book. The characters, the situations, what the rebels are fighting for, what the Capitol's fighting for, there is no right or wrong. And that's what makes Katniss Everdeen's situation so difficult. She has to decide for herself whose side she's going to be on. And when all is said and done, this trilogy is not about the rebels versus the Capitol. The story is about Katniss and whether or not she's going to allow herself to be used or whether she is going to emerge as her own person. In every single novel in the trilogy, she is in some way being used. And in every single novel in the trilogy, she somehow fights against this. The difference with Mockingjay is that she's no longer being used by the Capitol. She's being used by, ostensibly, the good guys. The characters continue to be really well developed, and the story continues to be incredibly compelling. And it doesn't exactly end on an up note. It doesn't leave you hanging like the other two, but there's not closure in the sense that we would ordinarily want closure. But you have to remember that this is a dystopian trilogy, and very rarely in dystopian trilogies is there a "and they all lived happily ever after" the end. You have to expect that there are going to be ramifications, you have to expect there are going to be mental scars and an awful lot of healing to do. And you have to expect that the main characters who were involved in this fight are not going to get over it anytime soon. And that's precisely what we see with these characters. And so I thought The Mockingjay was a great way to close out a brilliant series. The series has made it onto the favorites list. Whether it will stay on the favorites list, however, well, we'll find out in a year after I've had a chance to reread it. Please try to keep your comments spoiler-free, and I'll see you next time.